Hey, sisters and brothers, and welcome. On behalf of the African American Cultural Center and the organization US, we welcome all of you to today's Soul Session in Forum titled Supporting Self-Determination and Sovereignty in Haiti, Struggling Against Ongoing U.S. Occupation and Imperialism. Shortly, our Executive Director, Dr. Maulana Karenga, will be introducing today's forum, its significance, and the panelists. My name is Saber Tulivu Jadi, and I, along with Saber Chumbuko Tambo, are co-vice chairs of the organization US, co-associate directors of the African American Cultural Center. And we always welcome everyone from joining us from around the country and around the world African community for this critical conversation that we're going to have, this critical lecture and presentation. Before we begin our program, let me briefly share with you the history and goals of our organization that I in turn will introduce our co-associate director, Saber Chumbuko Tambo, who will introduce Saber Dr. Maulana Karenga. The organization US was founded 58 years ago and 232 seasons ago on September 7th, 1965 by our chair, Saber Dr. Maulana Karenga. And we have 7 basic goals that are essential to understanding both what we do and why we do it. Our first goal is to continue the Black cultural revolution, that is the struggle to win the hearts and minds of our people. Our second goal is to provide political education to the Black community. Our third goal is to build independent Black institutions and strengthen already existing ones. Our fourth goal is to advise and assist others in organizational formation and development. And our fifth goal is to serve as a reference and a resource center for the Black community. And our sixth goal is to participate in cooperative community projects. One of the most important cooperative community projects that we're currently engaged in is in the building and sustaining of a Black United Front called the Black Community Clergy and Labor Alliance, or BCCLA. And our seventh and final goal is to help rebuild the movement and continue the overall struggle for liberation at a higher level of human life. This has been the core of our efforts as sisters and brothers for the past 58 years and is summed up in our principles, which are work, service, struggle, and institution building. I'll now turn the program over to Saber Chumbuko Tambo, who will introduce Saber Dr. Maulana Karenga. Saber Chumbuko Tambo is a Saber. That is to say, she's a moral teacher in Kawaida Mat. Moreover, Saber Chumbuko is also co-vice chair of the organization US, along with being co-associate director of the African American Cultural Center and publisher of the University San Corey Press. She's also chair of the Say New Society, which is the sisterhood of the World African Community. And she's a longtime committed advocate of the organization US. Please join me in welcoming our sister in struggle, Saber Chumbuko Tambo. Karibuni, welcome, Saber Chumbuko.
Asante sana, Saber Tulivu, you're much too kind. Asante. Habari gani and karibuni. Karibuni ndugu na dada, rafiki na wageni. Imekuta juma yenu na mahali pa amani. Na tunawatakia baraka bila idadi na vitu vote vyema bila mwisho. Welcome, sisters and brothers, friends and guests among us. You found your family in a very peaceful place, and we wish for you blessings without number, all good things without end. On behalf of the African American Cultural Center, us, our executive director, Saber Dr. Maulana Karenga, Saber Tiamoyo Karenga, and all of our advocates, we warmly welcome you to our Sunday Soul Session. We thank you for joining us from throughout the country and throughout the world African community. We realize that today and every Sunday you have choices, and we appreciate the fact that you are with us this afternoon. I assure you, you made the right choice. You're at the right place at the right time. The title of today's Soul Session, as Saber Tulivu said, is Supporting Self-Determination and Sovereignty in Haiti, Struggling Against Ongoing U.S. Occupation and Imperialism. It is my distinct honor to introduce Saber Dr. Maulana Karenga, who will serve as our moderator this afternoon and who will introduce our esteemed panelists. Saber Dr. Maulana Karenga is professor and chair of the Department of Africana Studies at California State University, Long Beach. He is the founder and chair of the organization US, which means us African people, and the National Association of Kawida Organizations. Dr. Karenga is perhaps most widely known for his creation of that beautiful Pan-African and African-American cultural holiday, Kwanzaa, which is celebrated by millions and millions of African people throughout the world African community on every continent in the world. Can you believe that? Every continent, people celebrating Kwanzaa. He is also the creator of the Nguzo Saba, the 7 principles, those African communitarian principles which are used as cultural grounding by millions of people and thousands of organizations around the world African community. Dr. Karenga is the author of numerous scholarly articles and books, including Introduction to Black Studies, which is the most widely used introductory text in the field of Black Studies, Kwanzaa, a celebration of family, community, and culture, which is the authoritative text for the holiday, selections from the Hosea, Sacred Wisdom of Ancient Egypt, Odu Ifa, the ethical teachings, and Mat, the moral ideal in ancient Egypt, a study in classical African ethics. All of these titles are available from the University of Sankore Press. Dr. Karenga is currently working on a seminal work, a masterpiece on Haji Minister Malcolm X titled The Liberation Ethics of Malcolm X, Critical Consciousness, Moral Grounding, and Transformative Struggle. Moreover, he is the subject of a book authored by Dr. Molefi Keti Asante titled Maulana Karenga, an Intellectual Portrait. Dr. Karenga has written extensively on Haiti, the Haitian people, and the struggle for liberation. I draw your attention to 2 of his most recent articles. The first, written in August, titled Haiti, Africa, and Us, Resisting Africans Anywhere, Serving as Proxies for Imperialism. And his most recent article on Haiti was written in January, titled Haiti at the Center of Our Moral Concern, Ending the Suffering, Achieving Genuine Self-Determination. Both of these articles by Dr. Karenga can be found on our website at us-organization.org. That's us-organization.org. Unbudging in his Blackness, refusing to be defeated, dispirited, or diverted from his original commitment to Black liberation, cultural revolution, radical social change, and the ancient African ethical mission of the Odu Ifa to constantly struggle to bring good into the world and not let any good be lost. Brothers and sisters, friends and guests, please give a warm African Kawida welcome to our moderator for today, Seba, Dr. Maulana Karenga. Karibuni, Dr. Karenga.
Karibuni, asante sana.
Appreciate
that. On behalf of our organization, us and its advocates, we'd like to say to you always, welcome. You found your family in a peaceful place, and we wish for you blessings without number and all good things without end. And we say that in language Swahili, karibuni ndugu na dada, jamaa rafiki na wageni, mmekuja jamaa yenu na mahali pa amani, na tunawatakia baraka bila idadi na vitu vyote vizuri bila mwisho. Zaidi ya hayo, tunashuhudia kama watu wa Kiafrika kama mwanzo wetu ulivyokuwa mkuu na mwema, ndivyo utakavyokuwa maendeleo yetu daima, ikiwa tunathubutu kujitahidi kusema ukweli, kufanya haki na kutembea katika njia ya nyofu. And so I said again, welcome, brothers and sisters, family and friends. You found your family in a peaceful place, and we wish for you blessings without number, all good things without end. And we bear witness as an African people that as our beginning was great and good, so shall our development to our eternity be, if we dare speak, if we dare struggle, speak truth, do justice, and walk in the way of rightness. Hotel, Ashe, Haiti. As we always do, we start offering sacred words and water to our ancestors, practicing what we call in Kawida, practicing the morality of remembrance. For surely it is written in the Hosea, the sacred text of our honored ancestors in Kemet, that to do that which is of value is forever. A person called for by the work do not die, for their names is raised and remembered because of that. And so we raise, remember, and praise the names of the great ones in the history book, and also the great and loved ones in our daily lives who brought a great and enduring good in our lives and in the world. We raise and praise the name of those who were so tall that when they stood up, they were the heights of mountains, and when they lay down, they were the length of rivers. And we raise up the extraordinary, ordinary loved one who gave ground and enhanced meaning and goodness to our lives. So we call the name of our honored ancestors. We raise and praise the name of Nana Fanny Luhema. We said there are two things we should all care about, never to forget where we came from, and always praise the bridges that carried us over. We raise and praise the name of Nana Marcus Garvey, who said to us, "Up, you mighty race, you can accomplish what you will. But remember to do things together for each other and with each other, for the ends you serve that are selfish would take you no further than yourself. But the ends you serve for all in common would take you even into eternity." We raise and praise the name of Dr. Mary McLeod Bethune, who told us we are custodians and heirs of a great legacy, a world-encompassing people, and our task is to remake the world. It is nothing less than this. And we raise and praise the name of Nana Amilcar Cabral, who told us to love the people, struggle for the people, hide nothing from the masses of our people, tell no lie, expose lies where they are told, mask no difficulties, mistakes, or failures, and claim no easy victory. We pour two for Nana Ella Baker, who taught us that the system under which we now exist has to be radically changed. And that means facing the reality, facing a system that does not lend itself to our needs and devising means by which we change that system. We pour two for the far prophet Nana Haji Malcolm X, who told us wherever a Black person is, there's a battle line. Whether it's in the north or the south or the east or the west, you and I, he said, are living in a country that is a battle line for all of us. And that's why we say everywhere a battle line, every day a call to struggle in Kawaida. We pour two for Nana Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., who said, "Let us so struggle, Black people, that years from now, historians will have to say there lived a great people, a Black people, who injected new meaning and dignity into the veins of civilization." This is our challenge and our overwhelming responsibility. Pour two for this legendary freedom fighter, Nana Harriet Tubman, who told us the cost of freedom. She said, "We must go free or die, and freedom is not bought with dust. It's not cheap. And so if you want to do it, you've got to sacrifice." She said, if you're tired, you got to keep going. If you're scared, keep going. If you're hungry, keep going. And if you want to taste freedom, keep going. And we pour today, as we talk of Haiti today, for Nana Janjak Desalin, founder of the Haitian state. We must forever ensure liberty reign in the country of our birth, he said. We must take away any hope of re-enslaving us away from the inhumane government that for so long kept us in the most humiliating stagnation. In the end, he said to us, in the end, we must live independent or die. Independence or death, let these sacred words unite us and be the signal and battle of our reunion. And we pour for our own and honored ancestors in the organization Wahenga Wetu Waheshimiwa. We pour for Nana Seba Limbiko Tembo, Nana Tame Halifu, Nana Ujima Wayman, Nana Ngao Damo, Nana Charles Sagidi, Nana Ali Kujichagalea, Nana Dr. Atty Brown, Nana Baba Pomocha, Nana Wasifu Tangalifu, Nana Omawali Tambusi, Nana Robert Tambusi, and Nana Impinduzi Kutasa. And we say to the great ones and the ordinary, extraordinary one, homage to you, beautiful black and radiant spirits. You shall always be for us glorious spirits in heaven and a continuing powerful presence on earth. You are counted and honored as our sacred ancestors. Your name shall endure as a monument, and the good you've done on earth shall never perish or pass away. Hotep, Ashe, Eddie. In the midst of our rightful concern and support for the many oppressed and struggling peoples of the world, as we've said so many times, the people of Haiti must also remain at the center of our moral consideration and ongoing active and effective way. This is said in full recognition and respect, as I've said before, of the numerous sites of severe oppression and even genocidal campaigns against the different and vulnerable peoples of the world. We of necessity begin with concern for ourselves and our resistance to the systemic racist oppression we as African Americans suffer in this country. But we also move to support the struggles for liberation and for good lives for African people in places of war and oppression, whether in the Democratic Republic of Congo, Sudan, Ethiopia, Somalia, or anywhere else in the world. And so we turn to Haiti, of course. The history and culture of Haiti is very important to us as African people. As African people, as freedom fighters, as people who are divinely chosen to bring good into the world, as Odu Ifa tells us. And so this history and culture of Haiti is marked by extraordinary expressions of revolutionary struggle and victory that we share, suffering that we share, repression that we share, because freedom is indivisible, justice is indivisible. But we also share with them and reaffirm them in their continuous righteous and relentless resistance. The righteous and relentless resistance of the Haitian people and their radical refusal to be defeated. I like that. The radical refusal to be defeated. I repeat, their radical refusal to be defeated. The Haitian nation was born in revolutionary struggle, achieving what no other enslaved people had done before or have done after. Haiti defeated its enslavement. It defeated its enslavement and all the armies and political forces that sought to thwart and negate its national liberation. It inspired and assisted liberation struggles in Latin America and became a beacon of African and human liberation, teaching us possibility and achievement against all odds. Against all odds. They didn't make their weapons. They had to find them, take them from the armories and off the bodies of their enemies. They had to create free space for themselves, organize themselves, listen, as Nana Bookman said, listen to the voice of freedom and act accordingly. But in all their victory, the enemies of Haiti, the world African community, and human freedom, they never forgave Haiti or the world African community for daring to be free. And they have since its birth worked to divide it, worked to reconquer and reverse its instructive and enduring achievement. In a word, their efforts were directed toward rendering Haiti irrelevant, except as a site of imperialist exploitation, name-calling, and conversational contempt. Haiti's rising in reconstruction and recovery within the framework of its United Montana Cause initiative now is a glimmer of hope. It will be difficult, dangerous, and demanding, but their history and revolution, their resistance and resilience are evidence that augurs strongly for the eventual and inevitable victory. Drawing on this revolutionary history, let us, as a liberation leader, Bookman urged us, quote, listen to the voice of freedom which speaks in all our hearts, unquote, and stand in active and unbreakable solidarity with the Haitian people as they struggle mightily and victoriously to reignite and lift up the light of human freedom in their country and in the world. And so we have today a panel dedicated to reaffirming the right of Haitian people to be free, right? We stand in support of their self-determination and sovereignty, and we struggle with them against ongoing U.S. occupation and imperialism masquerading as a core group, or even in the guise of the UN or another African country. And so today we have two panelists, all grounded in this issue before us today, supporting Haitian self-determination and Haitian sovereignty. And Sabre Chimbuka, have our guests arrived yet?
Asante Dr. Karenga, Attorney Èzili Dantò is here, and we're still waiting for Dr. Alcott.
Okay. So today, then, we'll have Speaker Attorney Èzili Dantò. She's been here before. Y'all know her. We're so glad to see you again. Welcome. You have found your family again in a peaceful place, and we wish you blessings without number and all good things without end. Attorney Èzili Dantò, strong, audacious freedom fighter, is also a lawyer and the founder and executive director of Haitian Lawyers Leadership Network and the Free Haiti Movement. In November, Attorney Dantò and the Haitian Lawyers Leadership Network, along with Yvel Fanfan, Action of Organization Motivated for Haiti Ruled by Law, filed a lawsuit against the Haitian government for requesting foreign troops to deploy to Haiti in violation of the Haiti Constitution and in violation of Haiti's right to self-determination and sovereignty, right? Attorney Dantò was born in Haiti, raised in the U.S., and returned to Haiti to serve as one of the lawyers for the democratically elected president, Jean-Bertrand Aristide, who, as you know, was overthrown, the first democratically elected president, overthrown by this government, and all was set up to be killed, sent to Central Africa. And Attorney Randall Robinson, Congresswoman Maxine Waters, and others rushed to his defense, got him out of there, got asylum for him in South Africa, saved his life. And of course, while he was there, he studied, kept in contact with the movement, got his PhD, and now is back in Haiti. But I'm sure she also had a role in that. She is also an award-winning author and poet, and just a wonderful person who's given her life to and in love of her people. She's offered her life for her people, which is a beautiful concept for every revolutionary. That is what we have to do, serve our people. If we don't do that, how do we know ourselves? How do we honor ourselves and the legacy that was given to us? So we honor her and we welcome her. Welcome again. You found your family in a peaceful place. And we always wish for you blessings without number and all good things without end. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Honor and respect. Is it possible to share my screen at all?
Yes, please. You can. Sanifu, can you make it possible?
Is it possible? If
yes.
not, thank you so very
much. It is possible. It's possible.
Okay.
Do it.
All right. Okay. Then let me see. Share screen.
So now are you facilitating it?
Appreciating where you are, Sabre Maulana, if I understand it correctly. Yebo, Asante Sabre Maulana, Attorney Dantò should have permission to share.
Yes.
Okay.
Asante tonight.
Asante to you, Sabre Maulana.
Teach. There it is.
So we start the Haitian Revolution always with the conch.
Mm-hmm.
And this is the sound that began the revolution. And our culture is our sword. So all over Haiti, just recently, I found this video of someone mimicking that.
I see.
Our culture is alive.
Oh my God.
Get on.
So yes,
Teach.
we are here until what Desalin said becomes true. The archetype of the great mother. The women from the Congo. The women from Dahomey. Their names are forgotten in history, but we don't forget them. I teach the story of the Congo women who came to Haiti and who essentially used whatever was in their hands to create the warriors who would become the greatest warriors and free the people. So the Dahomian named Victoria Mantou or Abdarayatoya, she taught Janjak Desalin all that she knew as an elite warrior out of the kingdom of Dahomey. And then you have Mambo Inan from the Congo and the Congo warriors. Why is Haiti so demonized? Why are we the most favorite disaster story? This picture sort of shows it. Back during slavery, they took the strongest and they beat the strongest in front of everyone to deter you from wanting your freedom. And that has been our story for 220 years. But I'm still here, so they have not succeeded. I have told your group about why we are still here. Combat la cour vive jardin. And today I'm going to show you what I've been telling you with regards to combat. This structure of African way of being that Haiti has never stopped using. It's the reason I'm here. It's because my grands used that land, took that donkey, went to market, and had food sovereignty. What I always like to tell those who are fighting imperialism, I've been at this since I went back in 1994. So 2004 gives me 30 years of doing this. And what I have learned is this lesson. The US is the villain that plays the hero. They will set your house on fire and then tell you they need Kenya to come and take down and be the firemen. They are the arsonists and the firemen.
Yes.
So they will take your democratically elected president, deport him back to Africa, and then tell you you need the UN mission to come in and take care of the disorder. We have been doing this, Africans, for a long time, since the High Coast, since the Syrian Lebanese or the Levante 36,000 years ago. Then you have the Greeks and the Romans and the Arabs and the Western Europeans. What's really important about Haiti is I'm going to talk to you about what we're doing with regards to food sovereignty, economic sovereignty, self-reliance, self-determination. It's called the Wanamet Project. It's a good example of the LACU I've been telling your organization about for a long time. And then I'll talk to you about our allies in struggle, what's going on at the moment, why we have no legal way because the core group made sure there's no parliament, no presidency, no Supreme Court. There's no legal way out of this quagmire and what the people are trying to do to get out of it and how the United States uses Black faces from Black America, like Kamala Harris, Brian Nichols, Assistant Secretary of State of Western Hemisphere, or Linda Thomas Greenfield, to destroy all of the various consensuses like the Montana or the others. And we'll talk to you a little bit more about the assassination of Jovenel. Like I said, U.S. agents assassinated the president. And then now they want to come and help us. And we'll talk to you about those gangs I was telling you about and how they've been sanctioned. And we'll talk to you about the Biden program. And then finally, I will talk to you about my case. This is a dream. This is Haiti, the people of Haiti, creating a canal in the Wanamet section up by the border next to Port-au-Prince. Next to the Dominican Republic. And if you've been watching it or paying attention to it, the Dominican Republic is like, they have mobilized their entire army because they do not want us to feed ourselves, but the people are working. This is what I would like folks who want to know. How can you support Haiti? This is what a combit looks like. These are volunteers who have said that, we have this land and we're not going to depend on the Dominican Republic or the United States for rice and food. We are going to create this canal. It's at the Massacre River. And I don't have time to go through the Massacre River and what happened and how significant it is, but suffice it to say that in 1937, Trujillo, the dictator in Dominican Republic, killed over 30,000 Haitians and threw them at that river, which makes the natural border in the north between Haiti and the Dominican Republic. By treaty, we're supposed to share that water. The Dominican Republic have about 11 different spaces where they have created aqueducts and canals to irrigate their farmers' lands. And Haiti is now doing one, and the Dominican Republic has closed its borders and is intimidating them. But the people with no government created this symbol of hope for Haiti, privately funded by Haitian from the diaspora, even as we deal with the border closure and but this is Haitians doing what I've been explaining to you for a while is combit. Haitian farmers believe that the canal they're building symbolizes their future. It's our hope. It's our recovery for our sovereignty, our dignity, so we don't have to, the Holocaust that continues where Haitian is going all over trying to find food and life. So it's about food sovereignty, economic sovereignty, security sovereignty, cultural sovereignty, political sovereignty, collective work and sovereignty. So that's what this represents. And here, so the irrigation canal is in the north. It's about 1.5 miles long, and it's going to be able to irrigate 7,000 acres of land so that we can feed ourselves. But the Dominican Republic is like sanctioning people who's actually constructing this irrigation canal. And I'm going to show you, this is the canal. And this is combit. Haitians using whatever they can, coming together, volunteering, and creating this canal. It is almost done. But I wanted to show it to you because in the past, I told you about how we work together. And this is spontaneous. It gives us a sense of dignity. It gives us an opportunity to use our hands and do what Christophe did. So Haitians are very, very proud of this. And as you spend your time reading the New York Times about the gangs in Port-au-Prince, I want you rather to remember that Port-au-Prince is not the Republic of Haiti. That 70% of the people are living in these areas, looking to take care of themselves. You can see the flag of the Dominican Republic there, and they've got, you can see if you look, they have their soldiers. So so you see the canal that they're building. here's what it is we want you to support if you're interested in assisting Haitians. There are about 12 departments. We need to do this in every single department so that we gain our sovereignty back, because as long as they can control you by buying you because you're hungry, then you lose. These are the gangs of Haiti that no one's going to tell you about, but of course I will. These are the most violent people in Haiti. These men are Syrian Lebanese, like the High Coast back in the day. The United States is deliberate in how it takes these people who have a culture of slavery and bring them to Sierra Leone, to places in Africa and to Haiti. The Dominican Republic president is also Syrian. We need to be very cognizant of our length of history. Now, the reason I'm putting them here is because these mercenary families, they control all the economy of Haiti. And Haitian, this is what they are. We are that donkey, and they just suck us dry. These Syrian, Lebanese, Israelis. They're less than 1% of the population, and they control about 95% of the economy. Whenever I see politicians talking, I always ask them, how are you going to take care of this economic injustice? Canada sanctioned this man. He's the most powerful, or excuse me, the wealthiest billionaire in the Caribbean. He lives in Miami. His name is Gilbert Bijou. He represents Israel. He's from Aleppo, and he's been sanctioned for funding the gangs that are killing the people. And you can find that, and so have these. This is Canada freezes the asset of 3 businessmen over gang links. The reason you're never going to see their face and that they're white is because the media never put them there. Even Michel Martelly, this is very interesting, right? One of the reasons they got rid of President Aristide is because they wanted to bring back the neo-Duvalierists. You all know, I've said it before, Michel Martelly was a Tonton Macoute back in the day, and they have brought them back, right? So, but the interesting thing right now is all of the neo-Duvalierists that came into power with the destruction of Haiti's democracy are now being sanctioned by their own bosses. Very confusing. Canada sanctions 3 more members of the Haitian economic elite. Marc-Antoine Lacroix, Jean-Mario Vaube. These folks are the ones that control the central bank, all the banking, all the industry, all the ports, all of the franchises, corporate franchises, whether, say, like you want to rent a car from Hyundai or you want to, they control all of that. And they have been sanctioned. But you're not going to see that because we are the great Haiti disaster story. So I start with, in my presentation, by giving you the most lethal, most violent people in Haiti, and there they are. And they are actually being sanctioned. So, it's very interesting. There's recently a judge in Haiti asked for these men who were part of the coup d'etat in 2004, like Michel Martelly, Jean Bellerive, Gary Conille. There are warrants out for their arrest. So empire is falling, people. They say what you're seeing right now is that we have gangs in Haiti, but I just want to let you know that all of the weapons are coming from the United States by UN report right here. You all can watch this later on. But the UN report says the weapons that are being used to displace Haitians from the shorelines. It looks like it's a chaos, but it is not chaos. Remember, I told you the United States agents under Biden murdered the president. And I believe I have told you why before.
Law enforcement are joining to combat the problem. CBS 4's Jacqueline Quinn reports.
Is this the worst you've ever seen it?
Yes, certainly within my time frame here. I've been here for almost 6 or 7 years.
Anthony Salisbury is the special agent in charge of Homeland Security investigations in Miami.
I don't want to give an exact number on the total numbers we've seen, but it's an increase in both numbers of weapon, and it's certainly the caliber.
He says the volume in the past couple of months is high enough for Homeland Security investigations to initiate a crackdown.
I would say traditionally, going to Haiti over the years, you'll see more handguns in a smaller amount.
Some of the weapons that have been seized are military-grade weapons designed to inflict extensive damage. So here are some.
So I want to tell you that more than 25,000 people in America died of gun violence. So if they want Kenya, they need to bring them to the United States first. Mexico also is facing this same thing with U.S. gun trafficking. And there's a court case right now, which I might join, where Mexico is suing the U.S. companies for the massive damage that's happening in its society because of the guns that they're giving to these cartels. It's the same thing they're doing in Haiti. These guns are almost bigger than these men.
Assault rifles on city streets.
Just remember, I already showed you who's financing these people. This is the picture of Ariel Henry, the current U.S. puppet. And on February 6th, a couple of days ago, the Charge d'Affaires of the United States, he essentially said, listen, we don't care what you Haitian want. We do not care. Our support for this guy is unwavering. At the same time, they will talk out of both sides of their mouth and say they want a Haitian solution and a Haitian consensus. But then they tell you that consensus cannot happen without their man running the elections. So all right. Since you guys asked me about the Montana Accord, here's my problem with the Montana Accord. When it first started, right before Jovenel Moïse's term was over on February 6, 2021, it was very it was a way of getting out of the quagmire, because it had a broad sense of people from a lot of different spaces. But then soon, these Negroes started going to the State Department to try to get approved. So that's why the Haitians are putting these, they're saying, like, the opposition, is asking for the white man to keep them in office. Excuse me, the Ariel Henry is asking, just like Jovenel, please keep me in office. And then the alternative is asking, please put me in office to replace them. So we think that it's really important that we try to figure out how to be self-reliant. So Ariel Henry has purposely failed. He's been put in office since the death of Jovenel Moïse, which was July 7th, 2021. And he's failed to organize election. According to the Constitution, you have 90 days once you do a transitional government to hold elections. And this is perfectly good for the United States. All they want is a dictator. They do not want a president. They just want a prime minister that they can control. They could say have a veneer of legitimacy, and then they keep stealing our resources. And every time the Montana Accord and others push to say we've got the Haitian solution, they'll bring Kamala Harris, this lady, Linda Thomas Greenfield. They'll bring Brian Nichols and put them right up front just like they did with these people who voted against the ceasefire in Gaza. That's what they do. The demon rats always use black faces to deflect from their racism and imperialism. There's another group, it's called the Collective of 18 January. It's made up of all the political parties. And the only reason I'm showing that to you is because the U.S. ambassador and, the U.S. chargé d'affaires and the Biden administration and the media, they're constantly saying the Haitians can't find a consensus. They can't find a consensus. Well, they found a consensus with the Montana Accord. They found a consensus with the top 8 political parties, and they have a program. The problem is the United States, if it doesn't control the answer, it's not a consensus. But I just want to remind you guys that February 7th is this kind of a historical time and space. This was in the time of Jovenel Moïse. And we had Senator Patrick Leahy saying that Jovenel Moïse had just essentially he had destroyed Parliament and got rid of and the gangs were there, and he got rid of the Supreme Court judges. He had essentially fired these judges. So it's always been the same. USA, they support drug dealers so that they can use the boats of the Syrian, Lebanese, Israelis so that they can make extra money that's not from the Congress so they can go do their wars in the Middle East. And that's really like this is another picture of Haitians showing you that, they're feeding this monster, this bloodsucker. All right. Oh, and let me see if I can go back. As they ask for Kenya to come, one of the reasons is because of the insecurity, we used to, and that's why the Wanamet project and projects like that for self-determination is so important. We used to be able to feed our people from the breadbasket up there. But right now, U.S. farmers are actually lobbying Kenya to come in because they want to sell their rice. The Biden program is a program right now where they are essentially, back in the day when I first started, I used to be, when I was 8 years old, my parents used to send Haitians to our living room, and I used to fill out applications for Haitians who had come to America. And if you came to America legally, you can ask for your family, like your children and your wife or your husband to come. And it used to take about 7 years, a long time for that process, that legal process to happen. Under this Biden program, the Mahafa continues for us. But for some reason, the U.S. is very concerned about emptying out Haiti of certain literate folks or folks that might have some resources. So now, if you, under the Biden program, if you do an application, you are in the United States within 2 weeks. I've never seen it. I've never seen it. And so Biden deported in his first year more people than Trump. I told you about the Biden program, but what I kept trying to figure out what was going on with this Biden program. What I've realized from studying it, because I couldn't understand why the visuals and all of my work in America, I had never seen so many people at the border or those visuals that would, grate on the nerves of what the white supremacists. What are they playing at here? And I just realized that the U.S. Army doesn't have Americans, Black Americans, because they pretty much put most of our people in jail, or we're not going to join their army. So one of the reasons why the U.S. is bringing in 4 nations, it's very important. That's how I kind of realized what was going on with the Biden program. The Biden program is Nicaragua. You guys remember Nicaragua now has a relationship with Russia. Nicaragua, Cuba, Venezuela all have alliances that we don't have in Haiti. So we're very important to the U.S. And so they are using a lot of our young men to go to their wars because they don't have men, they don't have soldiers. and they could take a desperate Haitian who they set your house on fire. And now all of a sudden you find yourself, you know, fighting for them in Ukraine, or a lot of Haitians right now are in Jordan. So, Philippe.
I'm sorry.
Yes.
I'm sorry, Attorney Dantò. Did our second guest come yet? Saber Chimbuko?
La, I don't see him yet.
Okay. All right. Okay then. So
all right, I'm gonna finish up then. So the United States spent about 2 years trying to find a black face to its imperialism, and it finally found this Negro, K-N-E-E-G-R-O-W, William Ruto, who is he was indicted by the International Criminal Court for his policemen violating the rights of his own people. But he's the one that they're bringing to Haiti. Okay. What I thought was very interesting was that he didn't go and make a bilateral agreement with Ariel Henry. He went straight to the Dominican Republic.
A mission in Kenya that would help us to consolidate the bilateral relations, the trade and investment opportunities for our two countries.
Hopeful of Kenya helping to pacify Haiti.
That was Luis Abinader of the Dominican Republic. So they signed a bilateral agreement, and you can hear it. One wants commercial relations. Everybody uses Haiti. You guys remember back in 2004, it was the Brazilians who wanted a seat at the UN Security Council. So then they did the bidding. Lula did the bidding of the United States. Now, and this is kind of ironic, because the judge in the court that blocked this man's unconstitutional endeavor said that there was no bilateral or reciprocal agreement with Haiti. But he went and he had one with Dominican Republic, because they don't take us for nothing. And Abinader is not shy about saying he wants to pacify Haiti. He does not want Haitian farmers to be self-sufficient. He wants us to keep coming to his space. And I think it's between 2.5 billion, 3 billion a year they make from Haitian. So also very important to know, since Attorney Oka is not here, Kenya's security forces, what they want, Haitians are facing these paramilitary groups from the Neo-Duvalieres who are working for, who I just showed you, the white Syrian Lebanese who want our shorelines, who look like what they're doing is chaotic and has no order, but really they're pushing them off the shorelines, because Haiti has the most oil reserves in the world. Look it up. They never used to say it now. I've been saying it by myself for 30 years, but now you can actually find it. But what I want to point out is that the resolution that is bringing Kenya supposedly to Haiti on behalf of this US-led project, it's for them to come not to take care of the human rights problem, even though that's what the media is saying. But Miami Herald's reported that the proposal is an offer to protect key government infrastructures like the airport, seaport, main roads. So that's not going to curb the violence, but it's always been like that. Okay, so here's the solution. There is a 2653 resolution. It's part of my case against Ariel Henry and my team with Evel Fanfan. And we say that we don't need foreign invasion force. There's a resolution that essentially says that the guns are coming from the United States. The United States has an embargo for guns to Haiti. the crux of the matter is they're not giving guns to the Haitian police to go take care of the insecurity problem. They're allowing the Haitian oligarchy and the petty politicians and the opportunist criminals to just bring in guns. So we say, instead of bringing Kenya, your answer is to enforce this resolution 2653 that essentially says that if they had no bullets in their guns and then the people could take care of it. So to finish up, you all know that Ariel Henry is New York Times. There's the article right here. They have said that he was tied to the murder of Jovenel Moïse. Why the United States is keeping him in office, we don't know. So this is Abel Fanfan and I. We filed a lawsuit against the de facto government on November 6th to essentially say that we have no president. The Ariel Henry is not qualified as a prime minister to ask for anything, much less for an invasion force. It's unconstitutional. And it's since November, we've been waiting for a court date. Unfortunately, the last court date was with, this is Abel Fanfan, my partner, this is Ariel Henry. The last court date was last Monday. And because February 7th is when Ariel Henry's term is supposed to be finished, according to agreements that he signed. So there was a lot of people on the streets and the court was closed. This is Abel Fanfan, right in front of the court on that same day when the courts were closed. So I will stop here. And if you have any question, let me know.
Okay. Thanks so much. We appreciate that. So, and now we'd like to go to our guest and have a good conversation with her on the wealth of information and experience that she brings to the table for our discussion. So who would like to start off the conversation? Yes, Seba Chimbuko.
Asante Sana, Dr. Karenga, and Asante for your excellent introduction, Dr. Karenga, and Attorney Dantò. Always good to have you with us. Your fire and commitment to Haiti. My question has to do with the release of Guy Philippe, his release from the U.S. and him returning to Haiti. I wanted to ask both you, Attorney Dantò, and you, Dr. Karenga, to talk about that, what that means for the Haitian people, and also just, you know, all the demonstrations that we're seeing against the current government. You know, we always praise the people for demonstrating and for struggling and for being out there. But at the same time, what does this mean, Philippe's intervention into this? How do you see that going?
Would you like me to go first?
No, please, you go first.
Oh, no,
I'm just going to build on your knowledge. You got the
okay.
understanding. You know that.
Thank you so much for having me. And Guy Philippe, the U.S. tries to make as if he was the one that took down President Aristide back in 2004, but it was the United States that took down President Aristide in 2004. He was, as Randall Robinson proves in his book, he was all the way up in the north. But the chaos that's happening for the last 3 years has the people, they're running away from Haiti because they have no security. They're prey to these paramilitary groups. And so what happened was one of the glimmers of hope was that Wanamit space, and people actually just walked over there so that they can help. There was no police that was helping them. So there's a group that's called BESAP. It's a brigade for environmental assistance. And this brigade though they didn't, you know, if there's 30 of them there, maybe 10 of them have guns, right? They're not very well equipped. Our policemen and folks are not very well equipped. The other side, the criminals, they're very well equipped. So what happened was BESAP and their group went to the border because the Dominican Republic had started bringing in a lot of military to intimidate the people as they did the canal. So that's one. Guy Philippe was supposed to do 9 years in prison. Out of the blue, the Biden administration let him go for like after 7 or 6 years. I've read the, you know, so 7 years practically. They just let him go and he came in. And as soon as he came in, he started looking for a way to become a hero and go do what he wanted to do in 2004, which was become president, and they didn't let him. So now he's connected with BESAP, this group that was helping the people at Wanamet and has become a group that the people look to, not the government, because the government did not come and bring the army or the police or any of that to secure the life of the people against Abinader's troops. So before I came here, I wanted to know so that I can tell you guys exactly what is it looking like underground at the moment. So Guy Philippe is saying that he wants Ariel Henry to be gone. He says that he has, and I don't know exactly how true it is, that he has the BESAP people with him. Now, a lot of young men join BESAP in order to secure and protect themselves. So some people I speak to say that Guy Philippe is trying to co-opt BESAP as a trampoline to make himself seem like he has military backing and he can get rid of Ariel Henry. But I think he might have actually connection to BESAP that goes a little deeper. Based on my research, because this is very new, BESAP, this group, I talked to someone today who told me that they control 70% of the outlying spaces, not Port-au-Prince, but the outlying places. That's what they told me. I don't have any way of confirming that. And now you're having Guy Philippe trying to really connect himself to this group. He is connected at the top, though. I don't know about the rank and file, but I do know that this man named Chantal Joseph, who is the head of BESAP under the environmental space. Now, Ariel Henry has told BESAP they can't carry guns. They can't try to protect the people. And just recently on February 7th, because he thought BESAP was going to come and unseat him, because that's what Guy Philippe was saying, the Haitian police killed something like 5 members of BESAP straight up. And then the rest, they brought them to be arrested, and now they've disappeared. So that's making BESAP become bigger, because they did help the people in Wanamet. And the people have been left alone with no one. So the seduction of Guy Philippe is that he has the reputation of liberating Haiti, according to the neo-Duvalierists, from Aristide. And so this is the chaos we're in.
Dr. Karenga, can I ask just a follow-up before you speak? You're on mute, Dr.
Please, do that.
Asante, I wanted, Asante, before you speak, Dr. Karenga, I just wanted to ask you, Attorney Dantò, to give us a little bit of background about him. Like I associate him with the death squads, you know, prep, I mean, just with horrible history. So I'm wondering how then people would embrace him given his history.
unfortunately, in this time, this is not the time of like the 60s or even early 70s. This is a time when of Trump. This is a time of when the truth has been turned on its head. There's been a campaign to destroy the real history of what happened in 2004. If you remember, they try to sell that as Aristide had gangs. Now we know what gangs look like. But if you remember, they came to kill the bandits. That's what Minister and UN was supposedly doing. It turned out those were the people that were just against dictatorship. So the colonial narrative has switched things. And most of the media in Haiti work for those gangsters I just showed you. They own the media, those white Syrian Lebanese. And they hate Aristide. They hate self-determination, obviously. So I would not be surprised if they're not financing Guy Philippe and trying to co-opt whatever was good out of Besop. But you are absolutely positively correct. Guy Philippe is an asset of the United States. I find it so difficult that my people is, or anybody might think that this man is a hero or a freedom fighter. When they stop using him, they put him in jail for money laundering based on drug trafficking. And you all know the CIA is one of the biggest drug traffickers. They're probably the one that got him in there, but they need a dossier on you in order to control you. So they're playing their games now, and they're sort of like moving away from this Kenyan thing because they got Guy Philippe. And if they can use these young people, then that's what they're going to do. But yes, he was trained in Ecuador by U.S. Special Forces, and then he was a corrupt policeman responsible for deaths of tons of policemen in 2004 and people. I know because I represented some of the people and their families that died because of that. And this is where we are. This is like turning history on its head.
So, appreciate what you've said, if I understand correctly, Attorney Èzili Dantò. Certainly, I agree with everything you said. One of the things I want to start with, and I always do this in our Black and World News Forum, is just praising the people for being resilient and hoping they will, in the process, hold to what they're fighting for and not let the U.S. send a new puppet in, right? So when we talk about Black faces in cave or white places, well, that's all over. That's in Haiti, that's here, that's around. And it could be a black face, a brown face, a yellow face. What the European does and what the colonialists and all oppressors do is get people from among the people to undermine them. And the Haitian people should have been, by some estimate, tired by now and just said, come on in. But they continue to struggle. They continue to have this, what we call radical refusal to be defeated, right? And so no matter how many puppets they send in, I'm trusting that in the final analysis, no matter how much it costs, they will not just survive, but overcome and triumph. So what is happening with Guy Philippe? Well, we know, as Attorney Dantò has said, and as Chimbo has reaffirmed, based on that, that the reality is that he's a puppet of the U.S., right? He's an asset, as Attorney Dantò said. He's an asset of the U.S., and you can tell that they cultivated him. Yes, he didn't overthrow President Aristide, but he was one of the tools used to do that, right? And really was threatening to come in the palace and kill him, etc. And one of the things he played on, which I think is important now when we talk about the security brigade, is disgruntled police and the army that was dismantled by President Aristide. He still has a relationship with those people. And those people have a hatred of democracy and constitutional government. They come from the Duvalier people who believe in suppressing the people. So you have a person coming in to continue and expand the chaos, not to end it. That's the first thing. Because occupation and colonialism depends upon this. First, chaos, right? Got a chaos and making the people insecure so they can't make the kind of rational decisions that you are asking them to be, and that Attorney Sabre Chimbuko and that Èzili Dantò was telling me they can't make sometimes because they need to eat. They need to be secure in their person. They need to be free from rape and ruin and all those other things. And when are they going to have food security, right? Or just security of their personnel. So they're creating that chaos so that we cannot organize the way we would ordinarily. But that's what shows our strength, the radical refusal to defeat if we continue. The other thing is that they always terrorize, because once they create the chaos and they terrorize people, that's what the shootings, the killing, the massacres, the rape as a weapon of war, all of those things, the humiliation, all of that is to create a terror and an increased insecurity. So guess what? The people will call for a savior. If you read history, that's what happens, right? Well, you know, I know they're bad, but that's what people say about Trump. That's what they say about the person in Argentina. That's what they say all over the world. If you look at the rise of fascism all over the world, these people come as saviors. Actually, they created the chaos they're saving you from. Well, first, they're not saving you from, but they created, and you made that point earlier, Attorney Dantò, that they created. We used to say, like, they burn your house down and then come bring you some wood, right? But they're going to sell you the wood and mortgage the house you haven't even built yet, right? So this is the way they think, right? And so the U.S. is trying to also divert and divide and co-opt the movement forward. This Montana Accord, and I wasn't aware of the convention movement, but in the unity movement, let's just take all of them so we don't have to parse and divide them. This stress on unity with 1,000 groups under this Montana Accord. The other parties, you said, under that group. And I got to ask you about Lavalas when we finish. This is a strength, right? So what better way to come in than to come in as a savior with the money? You're going to have the money because the billionaire elite is going to fund you. The U.S. is going to fund you. And they're going to give you full reign because you're going to give them intelligence. You're going to also give them the asset of killing when they want to, continuing the chaos when they want to, discrediting the movement and the people in the movement when you want to, and undermining, sabotaging every effort because you write in. It's what they used to call in World War II the fifth column. So Guy Philippe is creating a fifth column, and the fifth column is a sabotaging column, riding with the army itself, right in the midst. They're the fifth. They're four columns. They're the fifth. And so they have access to all the intelligence, they have access to the war plans, they have access to the conversations, and they can lift out, point a finger at, and have killed anybody. So that's the bravery and the audaciousness of the people that refuse to stop, even when all of this is happening. And so that's it. And only the people staying united can finally overcome that. You remember we used to say in the 60s, and I said, it's from Mao, a people united cannot be defeated. But in Kawaida, we said, a people united, conscious of itself and its enemy, cannot be defeated. We have to be conscious of our own strength. We have to be conscious of the balance of forces that the enemy brings, and then we have to struggle and not be diverted. So I'm thinking that's Guy Philippe's role, to come in and divide this move toward unity. And that's where I want to ask you. I want to stop here. Also, and to pretend to be a savior in the midst of the chaos, the U.S. and the I don't like to say that, the mixed elite and the elite, the foreign elite, the Lebanese and Syrian, the other people that Attorney Dantò mentioned that are actually blood draining the Haitian people. So he's going to act in their defense, and what we have to do is not be diverted. So I know that was long, but yeah, it's so important for us to know this. And I wanted to ask you, Attorney Dantò, where is President Aristide in this and Lavalas? Where did they stand in this? They were going to pull out of Montana because they disagreed over if someone should serve as temporary president. They want to go right to the election. What's your position on that? And am I reading that right?
Yes, they're no longer part of Montana, and I don't know if they're part of any of the other accords. There's a few of them floating around, but you know, President Aristide essentially was kind of handcuffed to just not be part of politics. So he essentially focuses on his educational institution.
Okay.
His political party did pull out of Montana. And part of it, as I understand it, we have a totally different view at the Èzili network. We try to support those who are actually spending time giving the people something different. I've spent my whole life looking at electoral democracy, and it doesn't feed my people, it doesn't free my people. So I no matter what they do now, you know, going towards this new idea, post-Cold War idea of electoral democracy that essentially is is fake democracy. So whoever becomes the next president, it's not going to be anybody who's going to be a populist. The United States won't allow that. And I don't think that's what Haiti needs. I don't think that what Black people need. I think we definitely need to go back to the land and have economic sovereignty and food sovereignty and buy the politicians. But in this circumstance, the law says that when you have a vacancy with the presidency, the next step is to take the most senior person from the judiciary, and that person becomes president. And if that person is not incapacitated, is not available for whatever reason, then you go to the parliament and you pick the president of the parliament. That's what the Constitution says. This is why I say that right now, because of the way those institutions have been destroyed, as a lawyer, it's difficult for me to say what is legal.
That's right.
So everything right now is extra legal. But with respect, so the United States never really wants Haiti to have a president.
No.
They want one person without any constituent backup who they can just, you know, tow along at an international meeting like Ariel Henry. And so right now I've been in discussions with many of these various accords. And so everybody's trying to figure out how to be kind of constitutional. Right. So I said, there's no way to be constitutional right now. What you need to do is find a consensus. So these are the two ways of finding consensus. One is, okay, I think there's normally 11 people in the Supreme Court, and then you're supposed to pick the most senior. And if that doesn't work, the next person that's more likely to with no corruption and no bias, and so on. Jovenel Moïse, before he left, essentially destroyed the judiciary by firing the judges because he didn't want them to take remember, his term had been over.
Yes.
The judiciary had said his term was over, but the United States, of course, said, no, we're going to give him until July 7th, 2022.
Right.
And he wouldn't have been in office to be assassinated if the United States had listened to Haitians, right? So, so the way out of here that people are talking about, these accords are talking about. So one way is to pick one person from the Supreme Court But that's kind of ridiculous because three of those, there's 5 of them now. There's not the 11 anymore because the ones that were properly put into office had to leave or go into hiding. So there's like 3 that was put in by Ariel Henry. Nobody's going to make any of those people president. And then there's 2 left that was put into office around the time of Jovenel Moïse. I find that the Supreme Court option is not an option. So what they did, and for instance, what the United States did when it destroyed Aristide back in 2004, and this is how Ariel Henry comes into office. They picked people and they said they were presidential councils, like a group of wise men. And that's what Ariel Henry was in 2004. He was part of the coup d'etat, and he was one of the wise men picked by the United States. So he's been their puppet for a long time. This is the model that Montana is using, that they're choosing a group of elder wise folks who are in different sectors and disciplines, who doesn't have corruption. And then those people choose a president. None of it is legal, but it's a consensus of sorts.
Right.
So that's kind of how it looks now. Because February 7th is when the last day for Ariel Henry, supposedly on his de facto illegal term, was supposed to end. A lot of folks looking for our support at the Èzili network would tell me their plans, what they were trying to do. And so one of them was pick somebody who wasn't elected by Ariel Henry in the Supreme Court and then do a consensus prime minister.
Right.
So this is what they're talking about at the moment.
Right.
But the United States is not going to deal with none of it because the U.S. is just running out the time in the clock until it can just go to elections and give us another fake puppet.
Right. Well, appreciate what you said, if I understand correctly. I don't want to be, I don't want to call it pessimistic, but I don't want to believe that the devil is God, that he's so high you can't get over him, so low you can't get under him, so wide you can't get around him. Otherwise, we have no Haitian revolution, and we have no sustaining a radical refusal to be defeated. So we have to keep struggling. And there's always an opening if the people stand ready and always take advantage of that opportunity. It's going to be difficult. I don't even disagree with what you've said. It's just a conclusion. I want to keep an optimistic concept of the people's capacity to finally win. And it's going to take a lot. You know me, I've been in this a long time, just like you, and I know the ups and downs, but I do believe that if the people stay united, they will not be defeated. And this new effort, this new united effort gives me hope, and I need that hope. I'm taking this hope home.
Right. Well, I'm not taking the hope. My thing is this, and I've been doing this for so long.
Yes.
The reason why I'm very concerned about politicians that come to me for support is because I did represent a democratically elected president. He had legitimacy, but yet, and I say this over and over again, not emotionally, not because I don't want to be positive, but I want us to understand, and this is that I didn't go through allies in struggle. This is why Ekuru is so important. This is why what's happening with the young man, Captain Traoré in Burkina Faso, is so important. You see, ideology is not going to get us free. We need military allies. When
but see what you're doing. Could I say that you're right? We need more than just our beliefs. We need action, and we need to build the alliances. What I'm saying is that I want us to say, this is what we need to win. I don't want us to say we can't win. That's what I'm struggling with.
I have never said, no, I could never say that. I came here to win.
Yeah, now.
I'm gone.
Okay. Welcome.
I came here to win.
That's all I need.
Also,
That's all I need. That's
I
all
did
I
not
need.
waste my youth on this for not to win. I came here to win, and the powers are very deep. But this whole Guy Philippe thing is psychological warfare.
Yes.
And you know, we understand what psychological warfare is, but when a politician, for instance, comes to me, they have no economy, and the only thing they have is, let's say, a bit of popularity, and they want to go out in the streets. I'm like, listen, Negro, no. You understand? How are we going to work for the next gen? Because I've done 30 years of people going out into the streets. You understand? You have to come to a point, and I say to them, I'm going to listen to what your plan is. But for me, what I see, this is what I'm saying to them.
That's right.
The Wanamet example should be replicated in all 12 departments.
Yes, yes.
For me, forget about electoral politics in the Republic of Haiti. We have to take the power away from the core group and their puppets. To do that, we have to feed ourselves and control our stomach. Number one, because I have seen many people just sell out because they were hungry or they X, Y, and Z.
Right.
So that's why I started that at the very beginning. I started with the answer. And I said, and I say to the people who come to me, because now I'm, you know, a woman in this fight. So they come to me because I've never sold anybody out, and I won't support anyone who just wants the bare bodies of my children in the streets against guns.
Right.
But don't give them anything. When these young people come and tell me, I was like, here are the possibilities that I didn't have.
Yeah.
Right now, there are universities that are free. You as a young person can get a degree overseas. All you need is, and we have a program where we do it. All you need is Wi-Fi and a computer. You need to do, for example, another military person came to me and I said, listen, don't talk to me about you've got popularity. Don't talk to me about going out into the streets. I have been saying forever that the Windward Passage is making so much money off of us because all the cruise ships go through Cuba to get to Panama. They pass our waters. But we have no control because these Negroes just want to be president and walk the red carpet. Whereas, even if you're not going, I've always said it, money, military, media, we need to figure it out. Allies in struggle. And I'm not talking about the nation state because I can't stand the nation state. I say to Africans, you all need to do what the Haitian of the Haitian Revolution did. They got rid of all being Congo, being Dahomey. They became one. I say to Africa all the time, your 54 nations have got to stop. If you want this more than 3,600 years of invasions to stop, you have to start looking outwards together. You have to ally with each other. You have to get rid of these 1888 Berlin Conference lines. So that's what I say. And I say to Haitian, look at what Yemen is doing. They don't have a navy, but they've got naval drones.
Yeah.
We need scientific and that kind of stuff. I mean, our people could make those drones. Warfare is different now. And yes, it's going to be war. The United States is never going to let go of Haiti. And I would be doing a disservice to the people that I'm defending if I didn't tell them. This is why people like the Montana Accord, those guys, they're not going to talk to me because, you know, they really think they can talk to this man's conscience.
No.
He has no conscience.
No chance.
You understand? And I'm not gonna say I want to represent the people, but die when they're running to the U.S. Embassy for a meeting. I don't do that. They can't even say my name, and that's good.
Mm-hmm.
What I say we need, and this is the same thing in African Americans here.
Mm-hmm.
This electoral politics thing, we have like 2 80-year-olds running, and they're a joke.
Mm-hmm.
Meanwhile, our people don't have basics. We have to provide that. We have to do self-reliance, and we have to provide security. That's why I say that security is, we have to secure our own people. Food sovereignty, security, and shelter, we have to do that. And then when you have that, then you have a place where you can issue from. So it's not me saying negativity. It's me, after all of these years doing this work and seeing that politicians like Guy Philippe, okay, as much as he tries to make as if he's some military person, right? Just recently, the BESAP people, apparently, and he said this on the radio, they were in front of him, and the Haitian government, of course, not wanting the competition, went to kill the BESAP people and probably him too. He ran away. Mm-hmm. But yet he's running around in the radio telling the people, let's mobilize and go out in the streets.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What?
Yeah. He's just, just trying to co-opt the people's movement. So I'm satisfied, right. Attorney Dantò, that you're not a give up. You're not surrendering to anything. I think
it's too late.
I just want to reaffirm.
I was a young person when I started.
Yeah, we all were. So look, I just want to just reaffirm that what you're saying is right. I'm just arguing this, that the battlefront is not in one place, that the battlefront is everywhere. Paul Robeson said, I believe with Haji Malcolm, that wherever we are is a battle line. And so we have to fight on several fronts at the
I agree with that.
Same time. So we need a political plan, we need an economic plan, and we need a culture plan. And they have to be woven together. So like when you say the people need to go to the farms, they need to be protected from the people that would destroy their farm. Like, for example, how the white man undermined Haitian agriculture. Haiti used to be food secure. Bill Clinton just destroyed the rice agriculture. I mean, to find a political way to block that. Second, we also have to, as you said, feed the people. The people need, we always say that humans don't live by bread alone, but they can only come to that conclusion after they've eaten, right? So we have to make sure that people have food security, but we don't want to reduce them to just food eaters. We want to let them think new thoughts and help them to fight for.
This is why I say, why can't we build our own drones? Like we keep talking.
We can if we build the political movement that supports that. They can't build the movements in the abstract. They have to have a structure so that that structure teaches them revolutionary struggle, military struggle. Everybody that you see fighting, right? If you look at their fighting, they built a structure. You've got to have a structure. And you also have to have an ideology. As Cabral said, Nana Cabral said, although we've heard of revolutions that had good ideologies and did succeed, we've never heard of a revolution succeed without an ideology. So everybody has to have thoughts about what they're going to do, what it looks like, how they're going to defeat the enemy, and what are they going to build afterward. So I'm just saying, I agree with you. I'm just saying, let's do this on many fronts. Let's fight on many fronts, that your water projects and farm projects, no one could argue with that. No one could argue with that. But we cannot abandon the political struggle either. We can't abandon the political struggle, and we must recover Haiti's revolutionary culture. We have to recover that and use it in the struggle, because it's being little by little erased, and but people are reducing it to its suffering.
Okay, all right. Now, see, you're coming into my territory. I am Haiti's culture. I carry it every day.
Yes. And the question is, how do we revive that among the people in their struggle? That's the whole key.
Well, it's about representation, right? Being what you
structures.
I don't know about structures. I'm just saying it's about back when I started out, people were just afraid of my name. Now people are giving their children the name Èzili. So it's about what they see. For me, that's what I see. And then, like I said, you know, we have technology. We have great technology. So I'm saying that the fight is going to be on a different level, unseen. And that different level is going to require access to technological communication. Right now, I'm connected with Ekuru, Dr. Ekuru Okot. You know, he talks to me about Turkana, where he's from, right? And you know, when we talk on, he's like, you know, my ancestral sister from the birthplace of humanity, you know. So we have this connection, and that's really important. There's a hands-off Haiti Kenya movement that it just makes my heart just feel so good to hear these. And this is not government. This is people to people.
Right.
These are young organizations.
No substitute.
Yes. And and there's a African Stream video that I recommend to everyone. Maybe I'll put it here in the chat.
Please.
Of these young Africans talking about how they are so inspired by Haiti's story, and that they don't want to be the blackface to imperialism, and that Ruto doesn't represent them. So we do have that this international connection. But what I'm saying is that there's a group of people in Haiti right now who are just retrograde. They're still back in the time of Aristide. They're still back in the time of, let's go to the streets and let's go to the US Embassy and pray that they will give us X, Y, and Z. And to those specific people, I have been saying, you can't say you are a leader while you're, because I have been the one, you know, who have to go to the prisons to get them out. And I've done that my whole life, right? And between 2004, and 2016, I was going to the prisons to get out some of the Lavalas folks. And I say there has to be a more conscious thought about how we're going to do this revolution. And I propose to Haitians that first, the children have to know their history so they're not hoodwinked by people like Guy Philippe. And the only way to do it, like I said, you can do it through technology right now. And it's not the way it was when I went to school and I had to pay $100,000 for an education. You can go to Saylor, for instance, University, and don't pay anything and learn something that you can use. I just think I would like to see Africans, because I talked to Ekuru about that. Start looking outside of the traditional Berlin Conference nation state and think like Janjak Desalin. Janjak Desalin didn't copy and paste. He looked at his people, he looked at what we had in our hand, and he made it work for them. So what are we? What do we have in our hands? And I was so happy to see Wanamet, because I've been talking in the abstract for so long, if you remember, about Combit Lakou, right? Now they're doing it, right? But when I was talking about it, people were like, oh, that's an ancient stuff.
No, it's important. That's history, culture grounded.
So, and I say this to us too in America. We have to figure out a way to have our own little cities, our own little gated communities with our own security, with our own education system. If we didn't learn anything from the COVID and all of that, instead of leaving our children in the minds of these, you know, white women who are not going to treat them in any ways.
Gonna abuse
so I say self-reliance, Money, military, and media. And if you don't have the money, you have to leverage.
Okay.
If you don't have the military, you have to leverage. And I dream of one day meeting Captain Traore and asking his military to come and help us here. We have to think differently. I see IECN right now trying to go to Russia. Russia has whipped us and abandoned us many times.
But
Russia
could we use them like Castro used Russia as a check to America, and like they used China? Well,
it's a different time. It was done.
Actually, China has more power than it had before, right? And Russia's in need of allies.
Russia.
That's a whole different kind of world thing. So that's a whole different.
I thought the BRICS and so on, but I underestimated the warmongering desires of the elites of the world. Right?
I know. You know what?
There was a movement towards this multipolar world, and all of a sudden you have 2 wars out here, and we're on the verge of World War III with Ukraine and Israel against Gaza. So they constantly are at war.
They are. They're war makers. Yeah.
And so, they're always going to make these laws to help themselves. We have to look at raising our children, but we need hard assets. When people tell me about Èzili and Ogu, I always say, what is your steel? Because Ogu is about steel. He is about being the protector. He's not protecting just with his body, but strategy and steel. I need steel. And I say this to Haitians all day long, and I'm going to continue to say it to them until the next generations hears me. Because I have learned based on my experience that this white man, the only thing he understands is steel.
Sorry. You know I know it. So, okay, so I really appreciate that. I think we got to close out. Is that one final question? Sanifu, did you have a point? Yes, Sanifu.
Asante Sana Saber Maulana and Asante Sana Attorney Dantò, Èzili, for your excellent Asante Sana, for your excellent presentation, and I'm enjoying this conversation that you and Maulana, you and Saber Maulana, you and Attorney Dantò are having. This is very, very rich, and I really, I'm enjoying it. And I did have a question I wanted to ask about, Attorney Dantò, you had mentioned that about most of the people are not in Port-au-Prince, that they're out in the country, and I wanted to ask, how are the people living? How are they surviving? How are they supporting themselves? And I want to, in that, ask about, recently I had ordered some T-shirts, just plain T-shirts, white T-shirts. And I was looking, at the label where they were made, and they said made in Haiti. And I was like, made in Haiti? Because from the media, it seems like there's nothing going, on there in Haiti. Nothing, but I want you to talk, if you would talk about the manufacturing, and also give us more of a sense of how the people are managing. How are they managing from day to day, with their lives? And how can you get rid of those? How can they get rid of those people that's sucking the life out of them? That group that you mentioned.
Yes, exactly. See, this is, I was going to thank you. Did you finish with your questions?
Yes, I did. Yes.
Yes. A lot of these politicians, when they talk about being politicians, they never talk about how they're going to wrestle back the economics from these parasites. And I came to do that. I want economic development. Okay, so I'm going to use their figures. Okay, I think there's about 13 million people in Haiti, but according to their figures, I think they're at 11 million. Out of that, 3 million live in Port-au-Prince. So the rest live outside of Port-au-Prince. But because all of the various embassies and core group nations, the core group nations are United States, France, Canada, Germany, Spain, because those nations we're like a gravy train for them, right? They tell people that Haiti is this aid state, and oh my God, you gotta give them money, and really they're just thieves. They take the money from the right hand, they put it on their left hand, and nothing really gets to Haiti and the people in general. As I've always said, that what actually maintains the people is the money from the diaspora, diaspora remittances. So we have, like I told you, right, 12 million people according to their numbers. About 3 million is in Port-au-Prince, and this is where they say 80% of Port-au-Prince has gangs, and that's probably true, right? All the corruption is around these white people. For years, I've told my folks to go to their lacus, and many have, and we're building there. But 70% of regular Haitian that you're not going to see in the news, they're farmers. Out of that, the US, because they want their land, they keep pushing something called export economy. And they say that in order for us to become industrialized, we have to go work for wages. And right now, there's between, the last time I looked, it's been a couple of years, 40,000 wage earners. That means only out of 13 million people, I'll be more generous, at the very height of the sweatshops, there was 100,000 people at the very height in the 80s, when Cité Soleil was Cité Simone under Duvalier. So those T-shirts are being made by those 40 people I just told you, right? So out of 12 million, only that fraction is working in these, what they call them, the industrial zones, where it's mostly Haitian women that they bring in there, and they treat them very bad. And, they're doing stuff for Hanes and, T-shirts, stuff like that. But it's only a very fraction. This is why I think our intellectuals need to focus a little bit outside of this electoral. The backbone of Haiti's economy is the informal economy, but it's not counted by the World Bank. So those farmers I'm telling you about that create their food and then barter, or the craftsperson that makes the bed, their economy is not counted. Our lands are not counted. So even though Haiti, like I told you, so out of 12 million, about 40 million, you have no, excuse me, I didn't say million, I'm sorry. 40,000 jobs. It's not even 100,000 yet. Okay. That's what the international community keeps talking about when they say they're going to give us jobs. The rest of it are Haitians either living off of the remittances that's coming from Haitians in the diaspora, the family that they have in the diaspora, or they're part of the informal economy. And I want you to remember this. What's happening in Haiti is happening all over Africa. Women are the backbone of the economy in Africa too. They are part, but that is not factored in some of the revolutionary ideas. about, and that's why I keep pushing la cour combite and giving it value. So that's how it looks. How do they survive? It's very hard because they're given this picture of every Haitian now, it didn't used to be like that, has a telephone. So they can see on WhatsApp the way other people are living. They see how they're living. And so a lot of the young people, they just want to leave because they don't see a future, right? They don't see a future in farming. I've been saying this to artists my whole life. We've got to put some country music and make that thing romantic to be on the farm. We have to figure out it's not just that, right? So that's what it looks like. So their life is very hard because of, fuel is hard, food, because they're looking to get food from the Dominican Republic or rice or macaroni from the United States. That's at such a high price. So that's kind of what it looks like. What is the answer? The answer is for young Africans to give value to Black lands and leverage it amongst ourselves and create value. Like, for instance, right, we have the great, wonderful organic mangoes and avocados, and so these cash crops that we could sell to, let's say, Trader Joe's or something, right? Once you feed your own people. We have to figure out how to give value. When the World Bank comes to Haiti, it doesn't give value to the land of the peasants. I told you 70% are peasants. We have more land than any of the 15 Caribbean nations. Why is it that it doesn't have a value? They're not going to do it. We have to do it.
Teach.
And so that's kind of, I see that in Africa too. The women, the market women, they are the backbone. They're the ones, the money they're making at that market is taking care of children. That's how I came to be here.
All right.
So yeah. So only 40,000 jobs right now. It can't be that much more are from sweatshops.
Asante sana Èzili, Attorney Èzili. I got the accent. Thanks for the accent. Attorney Èzili Dantò. We appreciate that. We say to you, as we always do, Asante, Asante, Nyingi Nabari Asante, and Shango Apani Haba, which means thanks, many thanks, compared to the many times we say thanks, the number of grains of sand on the seashore are few. So we got a lot of thanks for you, and we extend to you a standing invitation to come back from time to time and share with us the wealth of your knowledge and experience. We truly value you, your gift of your people to us in the world. And so thanks so much for that. Saber Chimbuko, are there any other things that we need to close with? Saber Tulivu Jadi.
La Asante, Dr. Karenga, Asante again to you and to Attorney Èzili Dantò. It has been just a very informative and wonderful conversation. We certainly appreciate it.
Yes, and please give our warm greetings to Dr.
Bill, I don't know what happened to him. I did write.
Maybe something came up, but tell him thanks, continue the struggle, keep the faith, and hold the line. And let me close, as I always do, by saying, this is our duty, Black people, to know our history and honor it, to engage our present and improve it, and to imagine a whole new future and to forge it in the most ethical, effective, and expansive way. And this too, our people, African people, continue to struggle, keep the faith, hold the line, love and respect our people and each other, practice the Nguzo Saba, seek and speak truth, do and demand justice, be constantly concerned with the well-being of the world and all in it, and dare help rebuild the overarching movement that prefigures and makes possible the good world we all want and deserve to live in and leave as a legacy worthy of the name and history African. And so we close, as we always do, with 7 Harambe. Harambe is a Swahili word that means let's all pull together and surely to build the good world we all want and deserve to live in. leave as a legacy worthy of the name and history of Africa, we need to pull together cooperative building of the good world we all want and deserve to live in. And when we say we put a hand up in it and put down 7 times for Harambe, for the 7 principles in Nguzo Saba of Kawaida philosophy of Kwanzaa. We believe if we could practice some of these principles some other time, whole new change would come in our lives. And those principles, first in Swahili and then in English, are umoja, unity, kujichagulia, self-determination, ujima, collective work and responsibility, ujamaa, cooperative economics, nia, purpose, kuumba, creativity, and imani, faith. Faith in ourselves, Black people, faith in our Creator, faith in our mothers, our fathers, our sisters, our brothers, our grandmothers and grandfathers, our elders, our youth, our future. Faith in all that makes us beautiful and strong, and faith in the righteousness and victory of us, cause faith that through hard work, long struggle, and a whole lot of love and understanding, we can again step back on the stage of human history as a free, proud, and productive people. Take care, stay strong, and keep pushing. Okay, on the count of 3, ZiliD 2, Harambe!
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 Hold up, we have to unmute if we do it. Did everybody mute? There we go. Okay, ready? ZiliD 2, Harambe!
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 Harambe! Haiti will be free.